Welcome to the Movie Go Society podcast, brought to you by Nerdtropolis. I'm your host, Sean Tajaport, the mayor of Nerdtropolis, and joining me once again is my co-host, Drew Munhausen, the professional media and movie mastermind. I'm scared for you right now. There's a free candy van, it seems like, behind you. Please don't turn around. Please don't talk to strangers. What did our parents teach us growing up? Please tell me you're not going to go talk to this man that's behind you.
That's just Art the Clown. He's completely harmless. It would never hurt a fly.
I'm so worried for you right now. I don't know. Can we tell him to go, or he's just going to stick around with us the whole episode?
No, he'll hang out. He's fine.
All right, he's going to have to be with us because in this podcast, we explore the world of cinema from beloved classics to the latest blockbusters and even creepy clowns. As you can see, we're now on episode 57, and I guess we're going to witness Art the Clown tear up the box office piece by piece or something. So we got a lot going on for you. We're going to cover 2 films and a lot more other stuff. But before we get into all of that, we want to make sure that you can connect with us online. You can find me on every single social media platform you can think of at Sean Taj, Nerdtropolis, at Nerdtropolis. Please follow us. The journey has been fun so far. And don't forget to visit nerdtropolis.com for your daily dose of movie news, reviews, interviews, and trailers. And Drew, where can they find you where you're not contributing to Nerdtropolis?
You can find me at Drew Munhausen on all the different social media platforms, logging movies over at Letterboxd and weekly over at Fresh Out the Podcast, talking about other stuff other than movies. But if you want to hear all the latest about movies in depth, it's here at the Moviegoer Society.
Yeah, also don't forget to catch up on all those past episodes of the Moviegoer Society and tune into my podcast, Real Insights, you can find on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and of course the Nerdtropolis YouTube channel. I just posted a brand new interview with election season's coming up, Drew. Please tell me you're going to vote for Pedro.
Of course.
I hope so, because I have an interview with Pedro himself from Napoleon Dynamite, Effin Ramirez, talking about Seven Cemeteries, a really fun, campy zombie, Magnificent Seven style movie with Danny Trejo. It's tons of fun. Definitely check that out. I think it's now in theaters and on digital. Really fun movie. And the interview is a lot of fun too. We do talk about the 20th anniversary of Napoleon Dynamite. I also have more stuff coming and I can't really think about it, or I don't really want to say there's some stuff coming, but we're going to have a hiatus, I think, Drew, maybe a week and a half. We'll be off a couple weeks. And that's because of me, guys. I'm headed to New York Comic Con. I got a lot of fun stuff planned there. Talking to the former CEO of Funko, talking to Todd McFarlane, attending panels, got some other interviews maybe planned. I just don't want to overdo it for y'all. Don't want to get y'all too excited, but there's some fun stuff coming your way. And then when I get back, I'm off to the West Coast. So from the East Coast, well, we call this what? We're the Gulf Coast right now. That's where Nerdtropolis is. So from the Gulf Coast, I go up to the East Coast, then to the West Coast. And I'm going to the George Lucas Skywalker Ranch for some Ultraman Rising fun. So stay tuned for that. I got some good stuff with that one. And then also when I get back, I head over to our sister city, San Antonio, for SpaceCon. I'm doing a bunch of panels, Drew. I got my most updated schedule. I've only posted a little bit about it, but the biggest one is that I'm hosting Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan Kenobi himself, for his panel at SpaceCon. I'm super excited for that. I'm pinching myself. I can't believe it still.
But who am I going to talk about Smile 2 with, Sean?
Well, that's a good question. I think we can swing it. I think we could somehow swing it. We'll see. There is a window when I get back, so maybe we can fit that in, because I do want to talk Smile 2. I know everyone else wants us to discuss Smile 2, so that'll be a great one. But
and
it's crazy.
Venom. We're getting into Venom territory here too.
There is Venom as well, and I think it's possible. We have to figure it out. Logistics and some other things. So let's just cross our fingers. Everything goes according to plan. And
no, those other things you're doing are actually way more important than
no, but I'm also excited to talk
really
Smile.
Cool.
No, but I'm excited to talk Smile 2 and Venom when we get a chance. I love this. So we're definitely going to do that. So don't miss out on the next episodes, guys. It's going to be great. Have tons of content for y'all. Drew, I must know you Seinfeld fan.
Seinfeld? Seinfeld.
Yeah, Seinfeld, yeah.
No, Seinfeld was always no. I wasn't a Seinfeld person.
Oh
no,
man. Oh, so
I've seen the Festivus episode. That's about it.
All right, we got great friends over there at Warner Brothers Home Entertainment have sent me some stuff too, and I guess how about Veep? Ever seen Veep?
Do like Veep. I
You
do
gotta
like
be, you
Veep.
gotta be somewhat a Seinfeld fan. Look who stars in Veep.
Oh, I know. Like, and I know enough about Seinfeld, the references and everything, just through pop culture osmosis. But it's just, it was never. I was never watching it as a kid. It's not. I have no nostalgia for it. It is a series that I feel like is kind of in my backlog for one day when I just have nothing to watch and I'm like ready to take the dive into Seinfeld. But that day just has not happened yet.
Well, I'm grateful for this box set because I have not seen Veep, so this is my way of watching it. It is the complete series is now available on Blu-ray. It is, I guess, how many seasons? All 7 seasons and hours of bonus features. So you recommend Veep since you've seen it? It's
Oh
good.
yeah, absolutely.
I heard great things about it, so I'm super excited. That speaking of Seinfeld, Drew, this is where I was going as well. Curb Your Enthusiasm, the complete
Hmm.
series is
Okay,
also.
that now you're really speaking my language. I know it's like I know it's really hypocritical that like I like Curb Your Enthusiasm, have seen that, but don't watch Seinfeld. But you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, so you got the complete series. Man, that's a pretty hefty box set. That is consisting of what was it, 10 or 11 seasons? 11, I believe, right?
Hmm.
It's,
I
I
think that's
mean,
right.
yeah, it's 11 seasons. Went strong, finished strong. I loved it. Speaking of Curb Your Enthusiasm, I will have an interview up soon with JB Smoove. Um, Definitely love him in the show. I think the show really was hitting a new level with him in it. So Curb Your Enthusiasm, the complete series, I believe it's already out. Um, but I just love. I'm looking at all the regulars and then the guest stars. And did you have a favorite guest star from the show?
Oh, there's too many to point one out.
I love
No.
that. Obviously, they included Michael J. Fox in the back of this. I'm like, yes, he was a great guest star on Curb Your Enthusiasm. But yeah, if you like Seinfeld or don't, there's a couple things you can check out, which is Curb Your Enthusiasm and Veep. And if you are a Seinfeld fan, these are the two perfect things to continue on to follow the journey of our favorite actors and actresses from those shows. Uh, Drew, we have two films to talk about. And did you like my little pun in the beginning with the
I
box office?
did.
I just came up with that last minute. I was like, how can we include two movies in a little statement right there? Piece by Piece is something you didn't get to watch, which I'm actually like kind of bummed out
Well,
because
I mean, I don't think I'm in the minority considering its box office take. I don't think anybody really saw this movie.
that is true, which is horrible because today the Critics' Choice documentary awards just unveiled their nominees and everything for today. Piece by Piece nominated for Best Documentary Feature and also nominated for Best Music Documentary. Um, tough, tough because in both of those categories, there's a lot of great films. I mean, oof. I'm just looking at it like the Superman, the Christopher Reeve story is in that. The Will and Harper is in that category. Music by John Williams is in that. The Jim Henson Idea Man's in that. The Greatest Night in Pop. I mean, there's so many great documentaries nominated. Piece by Piece is in it, which is well deserved. I'm not taking that away. Just saying it's tough. And also for music documentary, that's a tough one because you got The Greatest Night in Pop, but you also have I Am, the Celine Dion documentary, which was so emotional and powerful. Did you get a chance to watch that one?
I did not know.
I do recommend everyone out there that has not seen the Celine Dion documentary on I think it's on Prime Video to watch it. It is powerful, strong, eye-opening. She's so vulnerable and opens up everything. And like you see a lot of wild stuff that she has to go through. But Piece by Piece is something that was not expecting to come so early in Pharrell Williams' young life. I mean, he's 50, that's young. But
He looks great for 50.
Yeah, I mean, and he's so talented and is still going strong. But Piece by Piece is a biopic of Pharrell Williams' life. It's told through the brilliance of Lego. We love all the Lego movies, and this is the first time we've seen it in this capacity. You got a lot of great storytelling and cameos and appearances from people in Lego form. And when I went to the screening, you know, people see Lego, they think, oh, this is for kids. Yes and no. I don't think it's going to entertain kids fully because it's telling a true story about his, you know, upbringing and his journey, but it's done in a colorful, exciting way. It's not like it's just like a regular movie just told in Lego form. There's Great animation, great movement of like really cool imaginative stuff. But I also feel like they filmed a documentary and then just translated it into this movie. That's what it seems like because a lot of the narration feels like that, and a lot of the um, voiceover as well. But when did you first learn about Pharrell Williams? How far back does it go for you?
Um, Gosh, that's a tough question. I feel like I know that Pharrell's been in the industry for such a long time and made such an impact behind the scenes before people even really knew who he was. I feel like it wasn't until what's Despicable Me song that came out, I feel like that's the one that really boosted him to
But
like
when's the
all of a
first time you've
sudden
heard
being.
something from him? Was it high school, college, normal call? Like you're like, oh, here's a
Oh
Pharrell
no,
Williams.
yeah, post college probably.
Okay. So mine goes pre. I forget how early. Whenever I had my CD player, that was still jamming too, because I was listening to the Neptunes. I was listening to NERD, which I love. It spells out nerd. So like very fitting, right? Yeah, I was listening to all his music then, but I didn't know like Pharrell Williams. I wasn't sure about who it was per se. And so I started producing and started creating stuff with Gwen Stefani and other great artists and collaborating. Absolutely love it. So it does tell like almost an unknown story about Pharrell Williams, who is super talented. Um, Started off as a drummer. I'm a drummer, so like I see a lot of parallels and stuff like that with his passion and his love for music and everything else. And just really about his rise to the mainstream spotlight. Really great film, really fun and entertaining. A lot of stuff, obviously, I didn't know about. Pharrell Williams is a household name now. He really is, especially when he kind of went solo and started doing his stuff. But he's a big collaborator with everybody, maybe music, fashion, everything else. He has his hands in everything now. And if you're a Lego fan, you're gonna love the film. If you're a music fan, you're gonna love the film. If you love biopics, perfect. If you like any of his music, even the Happy, it talks about a bunch of stuff, songs that he created, and just the mindset. I don't want to give away the story. It's really deep. It's really great. A lot of great cameos. Gwen Stefani's in it. Snoop Dogg's in it. Daft Punk makes an appearance. Like it's really, really, really fun to see all of them in Lego form. But despite its PG rating, I just don't recommend it for kids. Um,
I
Not
think
saying
that's
it's
part of the problem with this movie is like the Lego aesthetic and what it's doing. I just didn't see the marketing for it very much, so maybe that's why people didn't go out to
it's
the
a
theater. I don't
focus
know.
features film too, so their marketing is kind of different how they usually do things. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and it's just like it is the who is this movie for? Like because of the Legos, it's like, but it's not really a kids movie, but it's kind of a documentary, but not really. It's even if on Wikipedia it doesn't say documentary and it's a biographical comedy drama film, it's Morgan Neville behind it, which is cool. Like this kind of reminds me of the movie Better Man that we talked about a little bit, that the trailer's out now, the Robbie Williams biopic where he's depicted as a CGI ape, like a chimpanzee in the movie as opposed to a person. And in that movie, Robbie Williams voices himself, just like in this Pharrell movie, Pharrell voices himself. But in that one, Robbie's an ape, and this one, Pharrell's a Lego. It's like trying to take your typical music biopics and turn them on their head to do something unique and different. But in doing so, you almost make it a little bit harder to, yeah, I guess harder to approach from the outside for those that just don't really know what this is. I know what this is and I want to see it. I just haven't had a chance to see it yet. And I think I'll probably like it. But from a marketing standpoint, I can understand why this one's maybe underperforming despite positivity around it.
A few reasons why I think it's underperforming. First off, it's a biopic. The Lego aspect of it is kind of revealed in the beginning, even though it's all Lego. He tells, he's asked why like I want to do this as Legos, and he explains the reason behind it, which is great. It's just not some gimmick. Before they even did all this animation and everything else, he always wanted to approach his life in this way for many reasons, which is beautiful. You spoke of another with the Robbie Williams biopic. I think one issue is biopics when people are still young and creating. It's a little, I feel like biopics shouldn't be made. It sounds morbid when they're still around. I I just don't see. I mean, some maybe depending on what it is, but I just don't understand biopics. More unless something shocking has maybe happened and they want to address that shocking moment. I get it. But next year, I think it's next year, we're getting the Beatles biopic, which is 4 movies for each of them, and then it kind of intertwines somehow. I'm very curious if it's still planned for next year or the following year.
I feel like it's not for a few years, but yeah, because that's Sam Mendes doing that, which will be I'm really looking forward to it.
You have that one, you have the Michael Jackson one coming out, and then like recently we had the Bob Marley, the Whitney Houston one. Obviously we had the Elvis.
You're forgetting your favorite one of the year.
I probably am. Like, please, I'm
The Amy Winehouse one. Obviously,
yes, that one. I remember that one. Yeah, I do remember that one now. And so, and I should give maybe more props to that Amy Winehouse one, but if it focused more on the tragic side of things, because it kind of started from when
No,
she was
you were
very
not in the minority on that one either. That one got pretty much ripped apart.
No, I
across
ripped
the
it
board.
apart. Not to rip it apart, but I was not very kind to it because I just felt like it was the way they did it wasn't the best way to do it. But yeah, those examples of biopics we've been seeing, and some good, some bad, some iffy. And I'm not saying this is a bad pick. I actually loved it. I gave it an amazing score. I just found the timing a little odd, and he has a lot more to go. So for a biopic, not the time for it, but I'm all in for it. Like, I want to see more films like this. It's amazing. His story is amazing, Pharrell Williams. And, I gave it, 4.5 out of 5 stars. That's how much I loved it. I actually loved it because I was entertained and I was getting so much inspiration from it. And it just made me want to rethink a lot of things in general about like pursuing creativity and really lit my match back up, that's what I loved about it. But yeah, it's not for kids, even though there's nothing bad in it. There's a couple like innuendos for certain things when it comes to rappers, which is really funny, you know. But other than that, I just don't think it's worth the time because I don't think it's going to grab their attention because it's not a silly movie per se. But it's a lot of fun moments, a lot of colorful moments, and it's brilliant, in a Lego way. But yeah, awkward time to, I don't know, October with a lot of other stuff coming out. Maybe not the best time for it. Maybe too early, but I'm glad it was made. I'm not like saying it shouldn't have been made. I loved it, but I just feel like it was not the best timing for it to really excel because only what made 3.5 million, which is
and this kind of leads into an interesting segue that's not into the movie that we are planning to talk about as kind of the main movie, but I want to shout out Saturday Night, which is the movie about the first ever live episode of Saturday Night Live, and that movie just released wide this weekend. Finally, I got to see this back at Fantastic Fest, but now it's out in theaters. This did even worse than Piece by Piece did at the box office, and this is a movie that I loved. Like I reviewed this for Nerdtropolis. I think I gave it a 4 out of 5, and in hindsight, I'm even leaning towards higher. Like I'm really looking forward to revisiting this one, but I really liked it. And timing wise, it seems like it makes sense. We're in the 50th season of Saturday Night Live. The season just kicked off like a couple weeks ago. So we're in the middle of that season. It's October. It's, it just seems like this should have done better considering how much of a mainstream, popular show Saturday Night Live is and has been. It's interesting that people aren't going out to see this. Apparently there's kind of a narrative that people don't really go to see movies about TV. Like that's kind of a thing, a trend in theaters, which is interesting. But I really, really liked this movie. It has a great young, diverse cast, like a lot of up and comers. Gabriel LaBelle, who plays Lorne Michaels in this, I believe you've spoken to before for other projects. He's fantastic. Rachel Sennett, Corey Michael Smith, Dylan O'Brien, like Lamorne Morris. There's a bunch of people in here that you'd recognize from other things. Finn Wolfhard is in this, from Stranger Things and Ghostbusters. Like basically, if you're a young up and comer, you're probably in this movie somewhere. And it's really great. And I don't really know why people aren't going to see this either, because you could see this with your family, not kids, but like you could go take your family, but just this isn't what people are interested in right now, I guess.
Well, Drew, do you think it's because I feel like those two films, Piece by Piece and Saturday Night, should have been released in like November, right? I feel like it's a November release film, and October is not really where people are running to the theaters for. And to be honest, some pretty good competition last few weeks. The Wild Robot, did I hear that it made 13 million this weekend?
It's in its third weekend and it surpassed Joker in its second weekend. So yeah, Joker I think fell to third. Beetlejuice is still hanging on in there in the top
Well, I mean,
five.
right now is the best time to watch Beetlejuice if you missed it in September. I mean, that's a smart thing they do. Sometimes some of these films they release in mid-September to let it go roll through October and be done and let the other movies take over. But yeah, piece by piece, and I feel like Saturday Night November releases uh for no specific reason, as in like I don't know the math behind it, but it just felt like October's not the month for them and they would have excelled better, especially Saturday night. Probably would have been better in November.
Yeah, and it's an awards play. Like it's probably going to be in the conversation when we get into award season. And I think if this movie had been financially successful, it would have a little bit better pathway into the awards. It's been, critically praised. Critically, it's getting really good reviews, and it might make it on that alone. But if it's a critical and a commercial success, I think it would really boost its chances. And it's a shame that people aren't seeing this movie because it's really good.
It wasn't advertised as much. It was making its festival rounds. I think Piece by Piece also did a couple festival things as well. So it's really frustrating to see some of these movies not do so well. Some I understand why, but also we talked about this before. There's so many movies coming out. No one's
Mhm.
letting anyone take any type of a week or two of just enjoying a couple movies. There's
Yeah.
movies all the time now. It's same goes for TV shows. There's a lot. And I forgot who I was watching. It was somebody, I think it was one of the South Park guys were saying how when it comes to streaming, his friends will say, "Oh, this show is great. This show is great. This show." And he's excited. He loves TV and he'll end up watching it. And then he'll get it in. He loves it. And all of a sudden, like episode 7 sucks because it just went all over the place and it doesn't make sense. And it's because the studios are doing quantity over quality and trying to push these out due to easy how it is to the effects and everything and pushing things out and not caring about the people watching. And after a season or two, they just zone out because they're not really captured anymore. And I feel like the same could say about the movie theater in general. You're throwing all these movies out and you expect us to go every weekend to see every film that's coming out, especially when you have streaming coming, helping with support these films. And I think that's a problem is this is not the best way to recoup your money if you're making films. I'm thinking what's going to be big in November. There, Wicked is tracking to be huge. I wonder if Wicked's scaring people from November releases.
You got
Um,
Wicked, Moana 2 is another big one, which will probably even be bigger than Wicked. Yeah, and then you got Gladiator 2. There's some big releases coming close to Thanksgiving.
I'll be interested to see how Gladiator 2 does. I have high hopes and hoping it's a success, but I feel like people are going to see it as a cash grab and it's going to be a dud for whatever reason. But I mean, I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm always hoping I'm wrong when it comes to these things, but I just feel like it's something that people didn't want or expect. And you saw what happened with Joker too. It just fell flat, unfortunately, even though it's a pretty, for me, it was a pretty great film that we got a lot of backlash for. I tell you on YouTube, guys. So I tell you, if you're watching us or you're not even watching, just leaving comments that are just super hateful, like that's not gonna roll here. I'm sorry, guys. Like we don't condone that stuff. Y'all need to be a little more fair in y'all's things. And there was a guy that commented a pretty fair thing, and I was like, thank you for just having a civil discourse. Like that's what we're all here about. We're so down for disagreeing. Drew and I disagree all the time, but there's no reason to tear people apart, especially you don't know or just whatever reason. But I know it's the internet. There's trolls out there. It is October. The trolls are coming out. Probably be the top costumes at Spirit this year. So, uh, but yeah, and we're talking about the box office, and Drew got to see this film. We talked about before, and I don't know if I asked you. Have you seen the first two Terrifier films?
I have. I have.
And where can you watch those?
Ooh. That's a good question. I watched the first Terrifier on one of the free platforms, like on Tubi or something like that. When I saw it, I have no idea if it's still on there. This is a really interesting franchise. I actually saw. I cheated. I saw the second and third entries at Fantastic Fest, so I didn't see them in a normal way.
They had number 2 there.
Yeah, number 2 was there 2 years ago.
So you saw it there. Oh, that's pretty cool that Fantastic Festival has been the facilitator of the Terrifier franchise. That's awesome. Shout out to them. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I knew I was going to see Terrifier 2 at Fantastic Fest 2022, and so I watched the first one before that. And the first one is made on a super small budget. It's reported to be anywhere between $35,000 and $55,000. So like really low budget. And It's kind of reflected in that it's a pretty standard horror movie. It's very short. Like it's not even 90 minutes long. Like I want to say it's barely even 80 minutes long. It's really short, but it's, introduces Art the Clown in a little bit more traditional horror entry. And then the second movie is where things get a little bit more off the rails. And there's a lot of gore in the first one, but they just everything's times 10 in two. And two is this phenomenon because it was made for a higher budget than the first one. It's made for $250,000. Excuse me. Yeah, $250,000. So that went on to be a huge VOD hit, and people were renting it on, at home and so on, and in limited theatrical run. And it made $15 million at the box office, which is like one of the best returns on budget that we've seen in a long time. Like percentage wise, it's one of the best of all time. So now you have this third entry made for, again, a little bit higher budget, $2 million budget, and just released in theaters against a Pharrell movie and a Saturday Night Live movie and the second week of a Joker movie. And it came in first at the box office and made almost $20 million. And it's a crazy world we live in where this true independent hit, this is an independently financed movie. This is not from any kind of studio. And I think it's safe to say that Art the Clown has gone mainstream.
He has,
know
because
Art the Clown now?
there are popcorn buckets now at Regal you can purchase of Art the Clown. So yes, he has become mainstream. He's gonna be maybe the latest Halloween costume we will see this year and future years of Halloween. That's a fact.
And here's the thing about Terrifier 3. As a movie, the plots of these things have just, again, the first one pretty simple. The second one starts to introduce a lot of lore and things, and the third one expands upon all that. So the story gets a little bit wild and all over the place with what Art the Clown even is, and how he even exists and what he's setting out to do. And even though the movie's a little bit of a mess, literally and figuratively, there's a lot of blood, there's a lot of mess in the movie, and just, the plot being truly all over the place. It's just a fun crowd movie if you're seeing it with a bunch of fellow gore heads who want to see the most disgusting, deplorable things on screen, because that's what you're getting in the Terrifier movies. And I feel like that's kind of what they become viral for. Like theaters hand out essentially barf bags with the Terrifier 3 logo on it. It's like, if you feel sick during this movie, during scenes of intense gore, here's this. And they always like to say it at certain festivals, the walkouts and things that happen. Again, I saw this at Fantastic Fest, which is the people who thrive with these kinds of movies. So of course, everybody was having a great time, laughing and enjoying themselves. All the gore and, quote unquote, scary scenes in these movies are played almost humorously as well. The third one, it's barely scary. Like there's not many scares. It's just crazy gore, and you're looking for the next gruesome kill and how Art the Clown's going to do it, or so on and so forth. So it's a great time. I don't know if it's nobody's saying Terrifier 3 is supposed to be nominated for original screenplay.
I don't know about that. When you're the number one,
like
you're the number one movie right now. I think it deserves some type of accolade, which it will get. I mean, it is impressing people in any way it can, in a crazy way. And people are going to theaters for this. I mean, it's only, midway in October, and I think towards the end of the month, it's going to pick up even further. And the director was saying, he loves doing these, but he would love to get his hands on like a big horror franchise. Like he wants to maybe do Friday 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street. He has ideas for. He was like, Halloween, Michael Myers, that's been done. You can't go any further with that. That has been, and it's true. That franchise has been done way too many times, and I don't know how you can continue that, especially the way they concluded everything as much as they could. But I would love to see him do something with Friday the 13th, maybe, because it's been a while since that's been really revived in the best way possible. I don't think people are ready for a new Freddy just yet. We did have one. It was iffy.
And from a horror standpoint, between now and Halloween, I mean, it's really Smile 2 is the competition, which I'm sure will do well. People really liked the first one, but I just feel like Terrifier 3, despite Venom 2, or excuse me, Venom 3 and Smile 2 coming out between now and then, I still feel like Terrifier 3 has this nice little alleyway to be the kind of late night Halloween movie that you want to go see at the theaters the next couple of weekends. It might continue to do pretty well. So, yeah, this is the clown Prince of Crime that's really, getting some box office accolades compared to other clowns in theaters right now.
That's wild. It's really impressive what this film is doing and what this franchise is doing. And, people haven't seen one or two are going to probably see three and go back and watch one and two. I'm sure there's going to be a great collector's set of all three somehow be released. Maybe a steel book or something like that. So, I mean, that's wild. Congrats to them. Impressive. Tons of more films coming out, Drew, but I don't know. Is it, people don't have the time to watch everything out there.
No, and you made a good point earlier in the show, and we were talking about going to see a movie every weekend and them trying to get you to go. And I mean, I feel like that kind of was the days of old, right? Like, what do you do this weekend? I guess we'll go see a movie. And now people just have so many other options. And even me, as somebody who loves movies and loves going to the movies, it's like I'm still a little bit on festival fatigue watching 25 movies in a week, but I'm someone that likes to go to the theaters. And even this past weekend, I was like, man, I'd really like to go, get myself out to see Piece by Piece. And then I could talk about it with Sean on the show. But it was like, I just didn't have the energy for it. I'm like, I've been so much recently. I'm like, I just need a little break. And like, I'm going to go see Smile 2. I'm definitely seeing Venom 3. Like I've got, there's things I'm going to go see. And sometimes you just got to pick a movie that's like, yeah, that's going to be the one that I don't see. That's going to be the one that, I'll have to catch up with later. And I'm sorry that was Piece by Piece for me, but I do look forward to seeing it when I'm able to see it.
Well, same goes for me in Saturday night. Right. It was hard to find a way to watch that one. And it's just now that it's a bad timing for me as I go do other things. But I'm looking, watched Salem's Lot the other night.
Oh yeah, I want to check that out. The new one on Max, right?
Yeah, it's good. It didn't get my attention. I was tired too. Maybe I dozed off. I'm not gonna lie. Not because of the movie. It's nighttime. I'm comfortable. I dozed off, but was enjoying what I was watching. I might have to rewatch it again because I got halfway through, a little bit more halfway through. But it's a solid film. Like it's quality film for Max. I was impressed when I was watching and what I saw and what was being unfolded. It was really good. House of Spoils. I hope to get your review up soon for that.
Oh yeah, that's on Prime Video now.
And that's kind of like got horror vibes to it or some spookiness to it.
Yeah, it's got Ariana DeBose, who Oscar-winning actress from West Side Story, and she's been in a bunch of stuff now, and she's in this, and it's kind of like it mixes culinary arts with witchcraft in an interesting way, and what they were trying to do there was, I think there were some cool ideas. The movie itself and execution, I thought, was just okay, but there's some cool ideas in it, and if you're wanting something more in, less about the gore and more about like witchcraft and kind of some interesting psychological thriller type stuff, then you can check out House of Spoils on Prime Video.
And then also there's Seven Cemeteries, which I mentioned in the interview for. That's gonna be a limited release VOD. Just looking at what else is coming out, like in good for the spooky season.
Oh, you've got Apartment 7A is out on Paramount Plus, and that's the prequel to Rosemary's Baby. I think I liked it a little bit more than you. I had really low expectations, and I thought it was actually pretty good.
It was good. I that's just not my movie, especially at the prequel to.
It really just kind of remakes Rosemary's Baby in a way, in the form of a prequel, but it's kind of a remake.
That's what I thought, right? Like I don't recall if I've ever seen Rosemary's Baby, but I'm very familiar with it. I've probably seen it. And I was like, isn't this the same plot? Like I wasn't sure, like exactly.
Pretty much.
So I wasn't sure. I mean, I guess trial and error, I guess, of what they're trying to do. What else? Maybe there was something else that I saw on it. Oh, VHS Beyond. You didn't get a chance to see that, did you?
Oh, I did see it. Yeah, I saw VHS Beyond. I'm not a VHS purist. I haven't seen every entry, but talking about Fantastic Fest, I saw VHS, I think it was VHS 85 was the one that came out last year, and I was not a big fan. And I thought VHS Beyond was a much stronger entry for me personally. So it deals with aliens and most of the, if you haven't seen a VHS movie, they're all found footage stories, and usually it's an anthology. So there's 5 different stories within the movie with kind of an intercut story that happens in between them all too. And some of the, anytime you have an anthology like that, some of the stories are better than others. Some hit more than others. There's one that's directed by Justin Long and his brother that is very much some Tusk vibes that I really enjoyed. It's probably my favorite of them. But yeah, VHS Beyond is on Shudder now, and I thought it was pretty good.
Also, obviously there's Venom: The Last Dance. Conclave, definitely not a spooky movie, but hopefully you can catch Conclave, because I really did like that. I hope we can talk about that on top of the other films. I mean, there's a lot of stuff coming out. Magpie, that Daisy Ridley film. Also, there's a let me see what else there is. Mr. Crockett. The timing on that was, for me to watch it, everything was just crazy. So I still want to see Mr. Crockett. It looks pretty interesting. It's like
it was the closing night film at Fantastic Fest, but I left before then, so I did not get a chance to see it yet. But it's
on Hulu.
It's on Hulu now, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So
I've heard good things about it. It's kind of fun. It's like a TV, kids TV show host.
It's an evil Mr. Rogers. Yeah, evil Mr. Rogers. Yeah. That's what it is. So I'm all in for that. So a lot of good stuff you can watch, and we have a lot to talk about, being midway through in October. So for all of you tuning in, don't forget to subscribe and share all the Nerdtropolis content we have coming your way. We're super excited with what we have planned. A lot of fun stuff, especially when I get back from my trips. But once again, Drew, where can they find you?
You can find me at Drew Munhausen on all the different social media platforms, logging movies over on Letterboxd, and here every week, or when there's breaks like with New York Comic Con and such, but most weeks here at the Moviegoer Society with Sean.
Thanks again for joining us for another episode of the Moviegoer Society. Once again, I'm Sean Toshworth, the mayor of Nerdtropolis, and we will see you at the movies.